Good morning, students. This is our next chapter in geography for class 10th, and the title of the chapter is Manufacturing Industry. This chapter will be evaluated in board exam and unit also, and the theoretical portion will also come. So, the chapter number 5 in geography we have to study as a whole and very deeply. Now, manufacturing industry. First of all, we will start the paragraph. Production of goods in large quantities after processing from a raw materials to more valuable products is called manufacturing. It is a definition of manufacturing. That what is manufacturing? That it is a process which included the processing from raw material to the final product. This process is known as manufacturing. Do you know that paper is manufactured from wood, sugar from sugarcane, iron and steel from iron ore, and aluminium from bauxite? Do you also know that some types of clothes are manufactured from yarn, which itself is an industrial product? People employed in the secondary activities manufacture the primary materials into finished goods. The workers employed in steel factories, car, breweries, textile industry, bakeries, etc. fall into this category. Some people are employed in providing services. In this chapter, we are mainly concerned with the manufacturing industry which fall in the secondary sector. The economic strength of a country is measured by the development of manufacturing industry. Okay, so remember that if you want to measure any country's development, or economic strength, then we have to look at the manufacturing industry's progress in that particular nation. Now next is importance of manufacturing, that why there is a great need of manufacturing sector or manufacturing industry. Manufacturing sector is considered the backbone of development in general and economic development in particular, mainly because so these are the reasons that why manufacturing industry is significant or important or necessary, or why manufacturing sector is called the backbone of economic or general development of a nation. The reasons are this. Manufacturing industries not only help in modernizing agriculture, which forms the backbone of our economy, they also reduce the heavy dependence of people on agricultural income by providing them jobs in secondary and tertiary sectors. Second reason, industrial development is a precondition for eradication of unemployment and poverty from our country. This was the main philosophy behind public sector industries and joint sector ventures in India. Second important reason, that when we develop the manufacturing industries area, then it also helps to eradicate, to end the unemployment completely, as well as the poverty from our nation. And that's why this was the main reason behind the all the public sector industry and the joint sector ventures in India. It also aimed at bringing down the regional disparities by establishing industries in tribal and the backward area. As well as in the tribal and the backward area, the availability of jobs and services also is one aim of manufacturing industry. That's why it becomes important. The another reason that why we call manufacturing industry as a backbone of a country, the export of manufactured goods expands trade and commerce and brings in much needed foreign exchange. We know that how much foreign exchange will be in our country, so much our economy will enhance and we will develop economically. So when we offer manufacturing industry in India, whether the multinational company, then it also affect very good in a very progressive manner to our trade and commerce. Another significant reason, countries that transform their raw materials into a wide variety of finished goods of higher value are prosperous. India's prosperity lies in increasing and diversifying its manufacturing industry as quickly as possible. The countries that transform their raw material into a wide variety of finished or furnished goods of higher value are prosperous. We can see the example of China that how many natural calamities are going there, but still their economy is so good, and economically they are so powerful. Why? Because they captured the other countries' market also, as we know that how they have totally captured our Indian market with the Chinese. Whether we are talking about the mobiles, as their cost is cheaper than the Indian made mobiles or any toys, so that's why they have become so much of economically developed. Another reason that agriculture and industry are not exclusive of each other. When we say agriculture and industry, so they are just you can say head and tail, they move hand in hand. For instance, the agro industries in India have give a major boost to agriculture by raising its productivity. They depend on the latter for raw materials and sell their products such as irrigation pumps, fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, plastic and PVC pipes, machines and tools, etc., to the farmers. Thus, development and competitiveness of manufacturing industry has not only assisted agriculturists in increasing their products or production, but also made the production processes very efficient. So we can see that with the help of manufacturing industry, they are also developing and making the tools which is used in the modern agriculture, and that's why they are also helping more and more production from the farmers, and that's why they are directly and indirectly, in both way, they are very beneficial for the agriculturalist or the farmers of the nation. In the present day world of globalization, our industry needs to be more efficient and competitive. Self sufficiency alone is not enough. Our manufactured goods must be at par in quality with those in international market. Only then we will be able to compete in the international market. Nowadays, if we talk about it, today is a time of globalization. So our production is not limited within our own states, but around the world also. If we are finding that our products are very much popular outside the India, then it also create international trade and commerce in a progressive path. So nowadays, just because of the globalization, we are connected worldwide, and here we are getting the chance that we can boom our agriculture, we can use so much of development in agriculture, and we can export our products in the other country also. Now, contribution of industry to national economy. So how the contribution of industrial sector is very important or needed to our national economy. Over the last 2 decades, the share of manufacturing sector has stagnated at 17% of GDP out of a total 27% for the industry, which includes 10% for mining, quarrying, electricity and gas. This is much lower in comparison to some East Asian economies, where it is 25 to 35%. The trend of growth rate in manufacturing over the last decade has been around 7% per annum. The desired growth rate over the next decade is 12%. Since 2003, manufacturing is once again growing at the rate of 9 to 10% per annum. With appropriate policy interventions by the government and the renewed efforts by the industry to improve productivity, economists predict that manufacturing can achieve its target over the next decade. The National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council (NMCC) has been set up with this objective. So we can see that how our GDP remain at a stagnant point at 17%, and how this included the 10% for mining, quarrying and electricity and gas is included. They are giving their significant contribution to enhance our economy, and if we compare this stagnant position in our GDP, then it is very lower than the other Asian countries, where it is 25 to 35%. But here we are at the point of 7% annum, and the desired rate is at least 12% per annum. Our you can say our economy should be enhanced. For this, India is also made the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council, so that we can having the objective to grow our GDP per annum. Now, industrial locations. Industrial locations are complex in nature. These are influenced by availability of raw material, labor, capital, and power and market, etc. It is rarely possible to find all these factors available at one place, surely. Consequently, manufacturing activities tends to locate at the most appropriate place where all the factors of industrial location are either available or can be arranged at lower cost. It is the most important thing that before starting any manufacturing site, we need all the things which are required to produce any finished goods, the land, then the water, then electricity supply, and the other thing, and the distance from the market is also matters. After an industrial activity starts, urbanization follows. Yes, when there will be the industrialization, then definitely there will be urbanization. Sometimes industries are located in or near the cities, thus industrialization and urbanization go hand in hand. Cities provide markets and also provide services such as banking, insurance, transport, labor, consultant, and financial advice, etc. to the industry. Many industries trend to come together to make use of the advantages offered by the urban centers known as agglomeration economies. And so it can be asked, what do you mean by agglomeration economies? That when the it is a many industry, when many industry come together and decided to make use of the advantage offered by the urban centers, that process is known as agglomeration economy. Gradually, a large industrial agglomeration take place. In the pre-independence period, most manufacturing units were located in places from the point of view of overseas trade such as Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, etc. Consequently, there emerged certain pockets of industrial developed urban centers surrounded by a huge agricultural rural hinterland. Now, this is a graph that you can understand industry, then market linkage. So the inputs for an industry is raw material and or you can say component parts. Factors of production is land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, infrastructure. Then for industrial purpose, after this primary raw material, we need transport, so that after making the finished good we can transport to the marketplace. Then it depends on the factory, then outputs, it means products, then transport, and then market, and then all of these will be connected with the money. So without money you cannot start any industrial work or industrialization. Now the key to decision of factory location is the least cost. Government policies and specialized labor also influence the location of industry. Local location of an industry can be, you can understand it, cost of obtaining raw materials at site, then cost of production at site, then decision to locate factory and site, cost of distribution of production. These are the four main factors for the ideal location of an industry at a local level. Now we will study about the classification of industry. It is a very broad, because on the basis of different points we can classify industry into different manner. So on the basis of the sources of raw materials, we can divide them agro based industry and mineral based industry. Agro based industry is involve cotton, woolen, jute, silk, textile, rubber and sugar, tea, coffee, edible oil. While mineral based industry is iron and steel, cement, aluminium, machine tools and petrochemicals. Now according to their main role. Now on the basis of the raw material, we divide them agro based and mineral based. With example I have given you. Now according to their role or use, we divide them into basic or key industry or consumer industry. Basic or key industries which supply their products or raw materials to manufacture other goods. Example iron and steel and copper smelting, aluminium smelting. While on the basis of their role, second is consumer industry that produce goods for direct use by consumers, sugar, toothpaste, paper, swing machines, fans, etc. Now third is on the basis of capital investment, that how much we are investing. So first is small scale industry, and small scale industry defined with the reference to the maximum investment allowed on the asset of a unit. This limit has changed over a period of time. At present, the maximum investment allowed is rupees 1 crore. You can see that at present time, if you want to start any industrial work or industry, you need at least 1 crore rupee. Now, fourth is on the basis of ownership. On the basis of ownership, you divide them public sector, private sector, and joint sector industry. Okay, first on the basis of availability of raw material, then two types, agro based and mineral based. Second, classification according to their role, so basic or key industry or consumer industry. Third, on the basis of capital investment, then small scale industry. And fourth is on the basis of ownership, then public sector. Public sector industry which are owned and operated by government agency like BHEL, SAIL, etc. Then private sector industry which are owned by operated by individual or a group of individual as Tisco, Bajaj Auto Limited, Dabur Industry, etc. Then the joint sector industry which are jointly run by the state and individual or a group of individual. As example, Oil India Limited is jointly owned by public and private sector. Now cooperative sector industry are owned and operated by the producers or the suppliers of raw material, workers or both. They pool in the resources and share the profit or losses proportionately, such as the sugar industry in Maharashtra, the coir industry in Kerala, based on the bulk and the weight of raw material and finished good. Then on the basis of bulk and weight of raw material or the finished good, we can divide them heavy industry such as iron and steel, or light industry. So light industry that use the light raw material and produce light goods such as electrical industry. So you can see that on the basis of different aspect we divide them with the different name, and the example are also given there. Now agro based industry. What is agro based industry? Cotton, jute, silk, woolen, textiles, sugar and edible oil are the example of agro based industry. Textile industry. The textile industry occupies unique position in the Indian economy because it contributes significantly to industrial production, 14%, employment generation 35 million person directly, the second largest after agriculture, and foreign exchange earning about 24.6%. It contributes 4% towards GDP. It is the only industry in the country which is self-reliant and complete in the value chain, that is from raw material to the highest value added product. So you can see how important the textile industry in India. Now you can see that cotton textile. In ancient India, cotton textile were produced with hand spinning and handloom weaving techniques. After the 18th century, power looms came into use. Our traditional industry suffered a setback during the colonial period because they could not compete with the mill-made cloth from England. Now, the first successful textile mill was established in Mumbai in 1854. The two world wars were fought in Europe. India was a British colony. There was a demand for cloth in UK, hence they gave a boost to the development of the cotton textile industry in India. Next, as on 30 November 2011, there were 1946 cotton and human-made fiber textile mills in the private sector and the rest in the public and cooperative sector. Apart from these, there are several thousand small factories with 4 to 10 looms. Now, in the early years, the cotton textile industry was concentrated in the cotton growing belt of Maharashtra and Gujarat. Availability of raw cotton, market transport including accessible port facility, labor, moist climate, etc. contributed towards its localization. This industry has close links with agriculture and provides a living to farmers, cotton ball pluckers and workers engaged in ginning, spinning, weaving, dyeing, designing, packing and tailoring and sewing. The industry, by creating demand, support many other industries such as chemicals and dyes, mill stores, packaging materials and engineering works. While spinning continued to be the centralized in Maharashtra, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, weaving is highly decentralized to provide scope for the incorporating traditional skills and designs of weaving in cotton, silk, zari, embroidery, etc. India has world-class production in spinning, but weaving supplies low quality of fabric as it cannot use much of the high quality yarn produced in the country. Weaving is done by handloom, power loom and in mills. The hand-spun khadi provides large-scale employment to weavers in their homes as a cottage industry. Now, up to this, we will see why did Mahatma Gandhi lay emphasis on spinning yarn and weaving khadi. You can see this figure. India, production of fabrics in India, mill sector 2009 to 10 and 2010 to 11, 3.3, then 3.5, then power looms in hosiery 84.1%, handlooms 11.3, and others 1.3. So you can see that 90% of the weaving, cutting and processing is in decentralized sector. So we will continue further in next part. You have to regularly do your homework and read the NCERT.